Alright, so this is just a little review on factoring. I'm going to try to do one of every type of question, and that way if you see another one that looks like it, you know what steps to do. So starting with number 8, we like to get the number out front to be 1. So anytime that it's not 1, there's 2 different things we could do. We could either take out the greatest common factor, or if we don't have a greatest common factor in all 3 of our terms, then we have to multiply the first and the last term. So here we can divide everything by 2. So this would become n squared minus 9n plus 20. And then we need to see what are 2 factors of 20 that add to negative. So that would be 4 and 5, and they're both negative. So in our parentheses we would have x minus 4 and x minus 5, and then that 2 just stays out front. So we're just factoring here. We can leave it like this. If we were solving, we would set each piece equal to 0. And that's how we would solve for x. For number 10, it's a little bit different because we can't divide everything by 3. So what we have to do here is multiply our first term and our last term. So 3 times 8 would be 24. Then we need to ask ourselves, what are 2 factors of 24 that add to negative 14? So that would be 2 and 12, and they're both negative. So we have x, they use n here, but I'm just going to keep it with x minus 2, x minus 12. And then because I did this additional step in the beginning where I multiplied that 3 to the last term, I have to make sure I go back in and divide these terms by 3. If it doesn't simplify, we move it in front of the x, so this would be 3x minus 2. If it does simplify it. So 12 can be divided by 3 to 4, so that would be x minus 4. 12, 14, and 16 are similar to number 10. You have to multiply first and last, and then just don't forget to go back in and divide by that a term. Let's look at 18. So this one, we have the difference of 2 perfect squares. So our formula for the difference of squares would be if we had a squared minus b squared, we can factor that into a plus b times a minus b. So we pretty much want to figure out what just a is and what just b is. So a, since a squared is equal to 25x squared, we would take the square root of both sides, so a would be 5x. Same thing with b. B squared is 16, take the square root, b is equal to 4. So then you just plug in your a and b into that formula. You have 5x minus 4, or plus, doesn't matter the order, 5x plus 4. So 5x plus 4, 5x minus 4. Alright, and then let's do a grouping one. We'll do 22. So we want to group the first 2 terms, group the second 2 terms. We know we're going to group because we start with 4 terms. In my first group, I could take out 4 in both of these. So I would want to take out 4x squared, because there's an x squared in common in both of these 2. So I'd have 8x minus 3. And then in my second group, I would want to take out 7, then negative 7, and then I'd be left with 8x minus 3. So that was my goal, to get the 2 parentheses to be the same, because those are going to combine into 1 parentheses, so 8x minus 3. And then the 2 terms on the outside, so 4x squared and minus 7, go into the other parenthesis, so 4x squared minus 7. And then let's do, the ones on the bottom have the answers, but you still have to factor to figure out how to get the answers, but you can always check your work with the answers there. Let's do number 8, since this one's a little bit different, and we're going to get into this more on Monday. But we start by asking ourselves, what are 2 factors of 23 that add to negative 12? 23 is prime, so we don't have 2 numbers that multiply to 23 other than 23 and 1. So we can't factor it that way. So we're going to have to use the quadratic formula to solve. So a little review. Our quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So the coefficient in front of our x squared term is our a. Next coefficient is our b. The constant is our c. So we just want to plug in all of those into our formula. So I have negative b. B is already negative, so it's going to become a positive 12 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so this would be 144, minus 4 times 1 times 23 over 2 times 1, so just 2. So let's simplify under a radical. 12 plus or minus 4 times 23 would be 92, and then 144 minus 92 would be 52. And then we always want to check if we can simplify under a radical. So square root 52 breaks down into 26 and 2. 26 breaks down into 13 and 2. So I have a pair of 2's. That comes to the outside. So it would be 2 square root 13. So I have 12 plus or minus 2 square root 13 over 2. And then I can divide everything by 2, since both this and this are divisible by that 2 on the bottom. So that would give me 6 plus or minus square root 13. So whenever you can't factor it, if you don't have two factors of that last term that adds to the middle one, you have to use your quadratic formula here. Alright, that's one of every type of question on here. The rest of the problems you guys should be able to figure out. If you have any questions, just send me an email, but we'll work a little bit more on this on Monday. Have a great weekend.